I was going to leave that day, and I said, no, I'll stay over and I'll go back the next day. I mean, I don't know where we were. There were no roads around. It was just in the middle of nowhere. And they just opened up on us and started sending in mortars and small arms fire. It happened so fast. We realized that we needed more ammo for the M60, and the other bunker was way over there. And I just volunteered. I mean, I didn't say I'm going to go do this. I just dove out of the bunker and I low crawled like a mutt.
Curious Humanography is proud to partner with Utah Honor Flight, part of the National Honor Flight Network, giving veterans the trip of a lifetime to Washington, D.C. to visit memorials built in their honor. Each flight is free for veterans and made possible by generous donors. To learn more or support their mission, visit utahhonorflight.org and find your local Honor Flight hub at www.honorflight.org. Also, if you'd like to see more stories like this, please support us by subscribing to our channel, liking, commenting on the video, and sharing it with your friends. Your support helps us continue to bring stories that deserve to be heard. Thank you for watching, and now back to our show.
I am Brian Dellett. I grew up in Pennsylvania, right on the Delaware River. And so Trenton, New Jersey was across the river, so we always felt like we were kind of living in both places. I went to high school there, and then I got drafted into the Army in the 60s.
How old were you?
19, 68, and then Vietnam 69. And then, I moved to, when I came back, I had the bad year back, and then I ended up going to college, 2 years in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, 2 years at Rider University in New Jersey, and then I moved to New York in 75. I was there for 35 years or something like that. I don't know. Met my wife there. We had our daughter there. We also lived in Pennsylvania. She passed in 2016. My daughter went to Bryn Mawr College in Philly from 2012 to 16. I moved out to California. Then she came out to grad school. And I've been really lucky with... and I live in Los Angeles now. It's been 8 years or something like that, 9 years. And I've had a great run in the theater, film, TV stuff. And then it all started coming together after 9/11, which I've shared with you, that's what started the ball rolling with putting energy into stories that have to do with the military or the veteran experience. And so, and it continues. Yeah. As we spoke about just before with Guardian Angels, which was, I call it a divine convergence, because it's like, I've been able to bring part of my, essences or pieces of what I experienced from the war, witnessed, whatever, and brought that with my artistry, which is what I do with writing and theater and film stuff. And also that's also been a way for me to help out other veterans. I had no ambition to be a part of the veteran community until after 9/11, when I said I had to get help myself. And then it's been a remarkable journey with, being able to do that and be able to sometimes take my work and present it to the veterans community or people who are just curious, about that experience. So, so that's in a nutshell. We can break it down more if you want.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. First, do you have family, your father, or anybody serve in the military?
My dad was World War II guy. He flew B-24 Liberators. And it's funny, he didn't talk about it that much. I didn't talk about Vietnam that much when I got home. You would think we both have these epic experiences we could throw at each other or have back and forth. Very little. I mean, I do remember I was curious. I asked him, because he got a couple medals, and he he had an experience where they crash landed outside of Paris a couple of days after the Germans left, and things like that. And then he also, I forget how long he was over there for. He flew 35 missions, and I said, "Well, that doesn't sound like it was that much." He kind of rolled his eyes. He said, "No, you don't understand. You didn't get what counted as a mission unless you got to the target and hit the target. So you could get halfway there and turn around and come back. You could get there and miss the target. No good, you know." And then when he was supposed to do 25. So he gets there, he gets to 25, and they're losing a lot of guys. And now it goes up to 35. So it reminded me of that movie Catch 22, which the Mike Nichols movie, which was I actually love the movie. Some people are like this about it, but I think it was a remarkable take on from the book, and the madness. In fact, too interesting. We were talking about movies before. I got home in March of 70, and I think it was within a month I saw the movie MASH with my girlfriend at the time, Carol. Right? About 20 minutes into it, I'm looking around. I felt like I was in a nut house. I thought, why are these people laughing? I was horrified. I was angry. And I said, we're going, you know. And we left. And she said, it's a comedy, isn't it? I said, not for me. I'm not watching that shit. Anyway, so, but then fast forward a year later, whatever it was, I was with my friend Fawn, and I was curious. I wanted to see it, you know, and I had, even though I had gotten into parts of the book, I saw that movie and I went, that's it. That's it. The hilarity and the horror. That's it. And I was really taken with it. I just thought it had some kind of truth to it that I hadn't seen in anything up until that point.
Catch 22.
Yeah.
Have you seen MASH since then or no?
Yeah, you know, I did see it. It's okay. It's better than I was judgmental when I got back. I was super judgmental, and so there were other things bothering me that had nothing to do with the movie. But also, the movie did disturb me because it's like, you know, they're making jokes while blood's flying across the room and people are dying, and they're talking about their golf game. I don't know. I was in 2 hospital situations in Vietnam, and that's not what I experienced.
Yeah.
So
let's back up. What was going on when you got drafted? I guess I didn't realize you got drafted. I want to hear the lead up to that.
I didn't want to go. I mean, that's the last thing I wanted to do. I got out of high school in 67. I actually tried to go to college. I barely got out of high school. My grades were terrible, and I didn't care. I just wanted to socialize. And I wasn't like a social deviant at all. I mean, I basically followed the rules. I get out of high school. My dad was a pretty high-end amateur tennis player, and he was president of a clay court club where we lived in Pennsylvania. And one of the guys he played with was a trustee at Rider University. And my dad, I don't know, it was funny. World War II guy, all out Republican. I'll never forget. He said this, he said, I don't know if this one's for us, meaning the war, Vietnam War. This is in 67. And I wasn't paying attention at all. I was into my social life. I liked the music that was happening then. And
what was actually happening? Was the war extremely unpopular then yet, or was it?
It was becoming unpopular.
But you personally weren't. You were more just being a teenager, not investing in any of that.
I wasn't. It's like, is that thing going to last forever? That's what's going on in my head. Is that thing going to last forever? By the time they draft me, maybe it'll be over. They won't need me, whatever.
Were you actually worried about getting drafted?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to go. I had no idea. I mean, just nobody was coming back and saying, "Hey, you got to go over there."
And just for people who don't understand, what was the rule of getting into college? If you got into college, you got a deferment, or how did
You got
that
a
go?
deferment, what they called a 2S deferment, a student deferment. And you could keep that for 4 years. If you stayed in school and you got at least an average grade or something like that. So this summer of 67, my father comes home. He goes, if you go to Rider University this summer, take 3 courses for a month or 5 weeks or whatever it was. If you can get a C in each one, you're going to get a 2S deferment. You'll be a full-time student in the fall. I said, oh, okay. I'm down for that. Now, so I was lifeguarding at the time. So I was going to school in the morning, and I'd do these classes each morning. And I'd go home and I'd try and do the homework, Now I've been carrying a learning disability thing with reading all my life. So I was trying and not equipped to really be a good student or whatever. I got 2 D's and an F or 2 F's and a D. It didn't matter.
Oh, man.
Because I said to my father, I warned him, I said, Dad, you're spending this money. I don't know, And he goes, well, you want to give it a shot? I said, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. And I ended up, that's what happened. And so I thought college, no way. And then, so I finished lifeguarding. I put TV antennas up for a month. And then I got a job in a record store in Trenton, New Jersey, because of my uncle. He was in that business up in New York. And so I started working at this store, and I loved it. I had a great time. I'm around music. I'm learning about music. I didn't care about folk music, country music, stuff like that. And then and my girlfriend, we were like, I'm good, And that went on until I got I got the first draft notice. What is it? In 68. So that was, spring of 68. It was like a year after high school, almost a year after high school. I go down, I take the physical, written test, all that stuff. And then the classification is you're 1A, which means we're going to come to you first for drafting people. And at the time they were drafting, 40,000 guys a month or something. It's a lot. And, so a lot of guys were running to colleges and running to National Guard, because you're not going anywhere. You're going to do basic training, and then you're in the country on weekends for the rest 6 weeks or 6 months, 6 years, sorry. And I actually tried to do that. I went to the Air Force Reserve. A friend of mine from high school had done that. He goes, you got to get over there, get over to McGuire Air Force Base right away, in New Jersey, and sign up, and you can get that, and you won't have to go to Vietnam. So I did. I signed up, and what happened was there was a waiting list.
Of course.
There was a waiting list
to
get in the Air Force Reserve. So I missed it. And then it came time, the summer of 68. It was like, let's just get this over with. So I went down to the recruiter. I said, how do we move this along? And
for you, you knew it was inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
They
were coming.
Yeah.
They were going to be there in the fall or something like that, and to get me. So I thought, let's just move this along. So I'm glad I did. And then I got the end of August of 68. I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, for a couple of months.
What was that like?
It was really hard. It was really hard. I talked to a lot of guys who did basic trainings in other parts of the country, and Fort Bragg was the home of the 82nd Airborne. So this is 1968. These guys, our drill sergeants, most of them were combat veterans already, and they were also airborne rangers. And with the exception of a couple of maniacs, most of them were amazing men. They were like seasoned soldiers already. Now, I'm 19. Maybe these guys are in their late 20s, 30s, and they seem like old And to me, but there was something about like, our head drill sergeant. I really admired him. He was great, great man, Sergeant Jones. And, he had a little pot belly. I'm guessing he was in his mid 30s. I don't know. He would run with us every morning for 2 miles. We'd go out in t-shirts and before the sun came up, and we'd run 2 miles and sing, GI beans and GI gravy, GI wish I joined the Navy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we'd do all that stuff. And then we'd have breakfast, and then we'd go whatever we were going to do, rifle range, drills, all that stuff. And the surprise for me was, now looking back, I'm glad it was tough. I mean, also, I think I might have shared this with somebody else recently. We couldn't walk for the first month, first 4 weeks at least. You were not allowed to walk anywhere. If I went from here to there, I had to double time. I had to run. And if you got caught walking, you're down on the ground doing push-ups. And so, I don't know. I mean, I was surprised. I didn't want to be in the Army. It was the last thing I wanted. There's a pride connection between me and my father that I'm still proud of that lineage, whatever you want to call it, of him and I having served. And so, second day, the one just drill sergeant comes over and he goes, did you play football? I said, yeah. He goes, you're squad leader. I am? I mean, it was just random. They weren't like looking for volunteers. They were just picking guys. And they put this band on your arm that pins on. And if you don't screw it up, you get to keep it. And you get to be a squad leader. And if you screw it up, somebody else is going to wear it and you're done. And maybe it was an ego thing. I didn't want to lose that. I wanted to do it. Also, I liked the responsibility. I don't know, looking after 10, 12 guys, even in that situation. And
that came natural to you.
Maybe. Yeah.
Must have.
I guess so. Yeah. Cause I did like it. And,
what were your duties as a squad leader?
I have to think about it because there was basically making sure that like if somebody was late, he can't be late or they come to me. It's just things like that,
yeah.
Where it's like, you're responsible for this guy, man. Get this guy, whatever. And I was also there were a couple guys that were. I mean, I was a little freaked out and homesick, like. I've never been away from home. Not like that anyway, where you're really away from home and you can't even make that many phone calls. And there were a couple of guys that were really, really stressed out about that. And trying to be a good friend, as much as anything else.
Did the drill sergeants tell you much about in-combat stuff over in Vietnam?
Not much. No. We would ask them once in a while. And, the one guy we had, he was a brute. He wasn't what they call a Smokey the Bear guy. He was like an assistant, but he'd been there already. And, he was a madman, Sergeant Beetle. And like, we were like, he was a massive guy and he was always screaming at you, and, yeah. And can you curse on this? Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was always going around saying, don't you fuck with me, boy. Don't you fuck with me. Don't you dare. And if you got in his sights, my friend Don, my buddy Don was like, he was like a hippie with a haircut. He didn't want to be there. He just did what he had to do to get through it. He didn't care about, I was like trying to go for all this excellence. And, he would pick on Don and I would be like going out there to try and move the bull away from, horning some guy, I mean, I'd try and go up, Sergeant Beetle, I have a question, and he, what do you want? And I'd do anything to get him away from my friend Don, go away, and, and we would laugh about that. Interesting story about him, Don, my friend Don, was we had some funny stories about Sergeant Beetle. The other guys, like I say, the other sergeants were really memorable and had a lot of integrity, a lot of respect. And they were tough. This guy, Sergeant Beadle, I guess I was getting really serious. This is like midway through, more through basic training. I wanted to do really well. I wanted to be as excellent as possible with things. And my friend Don would come up to me and he would imitate Sergeant Beadle and he'd say, "Hey man, don't fuck with me." I'd like, what the? "Hey man, don't fuck with me," and he would play with my head, whatever. And he'd make me laugh. We would laugh about it. Well, we went on to do advanced individual training together in Virginia. We flew to Vietnam together. He ended up with the 101st Airborne as something to do with helicopter repairs or whatever. And his mom and my mom got very friendly and like very different families, his mom and dad were older, working class. My parents were, more white collar, whatever you want to call that. And they became friendly because there were no phone calls. So Don and I, we would write home and my mom and Don's mother would talk on the phone and to compare notes and stuff like that. And I had about 6 months and whatever it was, and I was due for an R&R. And so I was trying to go to Hawaii to see my girlfriend. They wouldn't let me. You had to be married. So I went to Australia. Excuse me. And it was great. But before I went, I had this, he was another tough egg, but he was a great first sergeant. This guy's First Sergeant Franz. And I went to him and I said, I got my R&R a couple days. I said, I really like to helicopter my way up to Camp Eagle and see my friend Don from home. And he went, "Get out of here." That meant go.
Yeah.
So I went and I took helicopters up to Da Nang and then Da Nang up to Camp Eagle. And I couldn't tell him I was coming. It's not like you can phone ahead, right?
Right.
So I went and I got up there and I had my little suitcase for R&R. And I walked into the hangar where he was. He flipped out. He just flipped out. "What are you doing here?" I said, "Hey man, I had your address. I'm going on R&R, but I thought I'd take a chance." And so we hung out that night, had some beer, looked at the stars. He was always looking at the stars. And this is interesting because fast forward to get home from Vietnam, bad year back. He's in Missouri. I'm in New Jersey, Fort Monmouth. He's at Fort Leonard Wood. And we both get out of the Army, and I started going to college. And I talked him into doing the same thing. I said, "You got to go. We got to do something with our lives, shit." And he was like, "Okay, So he tried it for a few weeks. And we were sitting in the dining, whatever the dining thing is for the cafeteria stuff.
Yeah.
And he's rolling a joint, and his books haven't been opened. And he said, "I can't do this." We got into an argument. I said, "I think you're throwing something away here, blah, blah, blah." And then we drifted to some degree, I guess. He ended up driving a forklift. And I don't know when it was, a year or two later, he got killed in a forklift accident. Rolled on him. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And what was really kind of disturbing at that time was I wasn't crying. I was kind of like I am now. And that bothered me. Oh, wait a minute. This is a great friend. I should be in tears. I was having this objective argument with myself. What the fuck is going on? Fast forward to 6 months later, something like that. I have a pretty active dream life, as you've been learning. And so I'm having a dream one night, and I'm out in the stars, floating. And then I see my friend Don. I think, is that Don? and he's floating over too. And he gets over near me, and I see him, and he says, "Hey, man, don't fuck with me." That made me laugh. I said, "No, man, don't you fuck with me." And we had this laughter going on out in the middle of the cosmos. And I said to him, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay. Are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." Which is something I actually put into that other play. But what was remarkable was he floated away. I floated away. I woke up and I cried for my friend.
Wow.
And that's it. I don't know how to stand it next to PTSD, because there's some things like that where I would have the feelings long after the fact. The event would take place, and then 6 months, 6 years later, I'm feeling it, and so that was he was a good friend. And I think, it's funny, it came up recently with a correspondence with a young veteran in New York who I used to talk to more. And he was asking me about loyalty, and it's important in our culture. Our kids need to learn about it. I needed to learn about it. Am I a loyal friend? Yeah, I am. And I feel like you learn a lot of that in the service too. It's like guys are loyal to each other for the most part. Yes, there's whatever push and pull depending on who you're talking to, but there's a lot of there's a lot of loyalty, and in the works I try to put together with the stuff I've written and whatnot is like in Guardian Angels, in the play that you saw, one of the nightmares I used to have after I came back, and this went on for a while, was I would return to the unit I was in, and nobody would remember me. They wouldn't remember my name. They didn't recognize me. And I'd be in the dream, I'd be freaking out. Like, what are you talking about? It's me, Sergeant Dillon, fucker. And, and then I'd wake up like, what the hell is that? So it's interesting, because sometimes those days were not that violent. They were more just psychologically, emotionally upsetting. And
it's interesting that you were more upset that they didn't recognize you, not that you went back.
Well, you know what I mean? You just triggered a thought, because I remember in the dream, that one dream that I would have recurring, which was, I re-enlisted? How did I do that? It was like, what did I do? I re-enlisted? No, I didn't re-enlist, but I did. I'm going back. No, I can't go back. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back there. And then I get off, well, where are my friends? And there they are. One time, a couple times I had them where, and they weren't guys I knew that well, but they were dead, and I remember that was really, that was bothersome. That was tough. But the cool thing, like when we were talking, I think before the cameras started, about angels, I mean, the guardian angels that I feel are all around us, that are not of this time and space, but they're here. And then I believe in the guardian angels that are people like you and me, or people that intervene at a time when we really need help, or we need to be stopped. Sometimes I've had guardian angels that were like, no, that's bad acting.
Yeah.
Ellen Burstyn, right? I'm dropping names, but she was like, Brian, that was, we get that, you really understand the story. You really feel it, but we didn't get anything. She wouldn't be that direct, but she would be close to it. And so it would be like, okay, let me go back to the drawing board. One time she was like, I was working on this character. I had a character, Drill Sergeant Lemon, who was in the play Memorial Day, which I took to Vietnam. And, now that character was bigger than life. He was iconic, you know. My name is Drill Sergeant Lemon. I don't want to scream on a blow-your microphone, but it's like he was bigger than life. And what was kind of cool was, I had this one little piece of a scene I was going to take in for a session work at the actor's studio on a Friday. That was like a big day for session work. And they did put up like 2 scenes. So I was going to go in and do this. And the night before, I was rehearsing myself, and I blew my voice out. And I texted or wrote to Brenda that she was working there, Deborah, and I said, I can't work tomorrow. I blew my voice out. Please tell Ellen. And then like 5 minutes later, Ellen says, do it anyway. I thought, what am I going to do? So I went in the next day. And my friend Jacqueline, who was she's on the board there with me as well. We came up with this idea that I would take stock art paper, and I would put keywords from the speech that I was doing on these pieces of paper, about a dozen of them, and put them on the floor around the stage, and then physicalize each one, you know. It's interesting because, this is where, the art meets the war. I mean, that's what I'm saying now. Well, yeah. I mean, these were fun characters to create, and I had, and they were sort of based loosely on people I knew or combinations of people. And, so I went in the next day and I did that. I did this whatever the speech was I wanted to do, and I found myself like kind of moving around, like I can't remember now. I am his name was I am Drill Sergeant Lemon. I'm an expert in the application of violence, and I would just physicalize it without saying the words, and I did that for 15, 20 minutes. And it was one of the best lessons I ever got. Like, how do you behave with this if you can't say it?
You're embodying that emotion, right? Or that attribute.
Yeah. So it was great.
That's cool.
It was really cool. Really cool. Jeez.
Okay, so jump me back. Now, how did the basic training end for you?
Oh, what happened is 2 things. One, I wanted to, I really wanted to be an achiever, and I got to do that. There's some part of us, there was how many guys were in the company? I think 150. There was some part of us that, there was like the top 30, 40 guys got bumped up from E1 private, which is nothing on your arm, to E2 private, which is like just one chevron. If you get to be E3 private first class, it's a chevron with a rocker underneath it. Anyway, so some of us got to have our stripe, and interestingly enough, I shot rifles really well, and I don't know who I was sharing this with recently. I couldn't believe that I didn't understand why. I thought, why am I good at this? I've never shot a rifle in my life. And they gave, I think it was the top 15 or 20 of us would get a weekend pass if we got into that range. I think I shot 8th or 9th in the company. Plus I shot left-handed, which I'm not really left-handed. I don't know. The opposite of Rafael Nadal or something. Anyway, I ended up going home. I got to see my girlfriend for a night with my parents. It was marvelous and whatever, magical, etc. But
the desire to really achieve, do you feel like that for whatever reason, being in boot camp awakened that in you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And in some respects, some of those drill sergeants were guardian angels. I mean, they pushed you to your limit. I'll never forget the guy we had was our platoon drill sergeant. He was nasty. I didn't respect him as much as the other guys, but he had us low crawling. I mean, you see it in the movies. You have no idea what it takes out of you to low crawl on the ground in where there's rocks and dirt and stuff like that. When you're low crawling, your body's taking some little beating of sorts, where you're crawling, and it's strenuous. You're using all your torso muscles. And I remember he had us crawling. Nobody could go. Everybody stopped. We went as far as we could. And he said the magic words, which were, "Now you know how far adrenaline will take you. So you're going to have to find something else to get you to move again." And I was like, wow. And so there was those kinds of tests, if you will, that were like, I thought, I was proud of what I felt like I accomplished. And so when I left, it was I was actually on the verge of going to officer candidate school, and
was that a choice, or would they put you in there?
No, you have to apply and go through a series of tests and go in front of a board and all that stuff. But this is some of where my learning reading problems came into play, where this one captain, he really wanted me to go. And so, I mean, I did go in front of this board for an interview, like the first of what were going to be a couple of those. And they said, "Oh, your scores, your written scores aren't as strong as they could be or should be. Would you be willing to take those tests again?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And then what came up was, "Oh, you're going to go to, if you succeed, you're going to go to Fort Benning, Georgia, for infantry." And that's when I went, "No, I don't want to do that." I mean, I would like to have gone to some place where I could, like, what's it called? Combat engineering. It was just construction work. I learned something. I didn't want to become more of a warrior, if you will, and also I was going to have to add a couple more years to the Army, and I didn't want to do that either at the time.
Right.
So, yeah, that was good. And then after Virginia, Vietnam, March of '69.
How did they flew you over in an airplane? How did you get over there?
Oh, commercial airlines.
What was that like?
It was weird. It was funny because I guess it was so again, my friend Don, the "Don't fuck with me" Don. We flew from Philly. Our parents went down. My girlfriend didn't go down with me that day. We'd seen each other the night before. And we both thought it would be a good idea if she didn't go. Anyway, his parents, my parents come. And when we went to get on the plane, both our moms were crying. And I'll never forget that. So we ended up going to Fort Lewis, Washington. We stayed in Tacoma for a night, and then we reported in the next day. And we were there for a couple of days. And then McChord Air Force Base was not that far from there. And we went there. We were up for like a day and a night and something, I don't know, or night and day. And then that night we finally got on the planes to fly. And, yeah, it was like Braniff or TWA or some big airline.
Oh,
we were
that
going.
is so strange. I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah, and back in those days too, they weren't just handing out crackers. It was like you got meals. So and the stewardesses, flight attendants were great, and it's a full plane. Every seat's taken,
and everyone's a military dude.
Oh yeah. There's nobody the commercial flights, but they're not. They're
Right.
for the military.
What's going through your brain? You're 20?
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
19.
No, but what happened was my friend Don was also into recreational drug use. So he and this other guy, the three of us were good friends. This guy Otis, this black guy from Philly, We were really tight. And he's got these pills in his hands, and he goes, these are called uppers. And I said, what's that? And he handed me a couple. And then there was a tab of acid. And Otis took the tab of acid. My friend Don took these
for the plane ride.
Yeah, right. So we get on the plane, and Otis gets separated from us. Now he's tripping on LSD, going to Alaska on another plane, and then to Vietnam. And we're on a plane going to Hawaii, the Philippines, and Vietnam. And I didn't know what I'd taken. I just popped them, threw them back. What the fuck? And I got, I was so wide awake. I was the only one awake on the plane. Even the flight attendants were like dozing off in the back. You know, we get to Honolulu for like a 2-hour layover or something like that. And I guess I was high or something. I don't know. I'd never done these things before. So I ended up, my friend Don, he slept the whole time, you know, because he took these barbiturates, so he was sleeping. So we get off the plane, and I'm saying, Don, look at the water, look at these little ponds and the fish and all that stuff. And he's like, yeah. He wanted to go back to sleep, and I didn't start coming down until we were in the Philippines, and then I started feeling really weird, shaky, and I didn't know what was going on. I tried to eat some food, and it was weird. And then we flew to Vietnam. I got to Vietnam, and the heat. Here comes the heat. And then I needed.
Where did you land in Vietnam?
Cam Ranh Bay, which was a major hub for getting guys in and out of the country, and that's where I left from too. A year later.
When you walked off the plane, what was that like?
The heat and the smell. It's memorable. You don't forget it.
What was the smell?
I think it was like a combination of rotting vegetation, jet fuel, you know, maybe the food. I mean, it was like, it was a concoction of weird odors that you never forget. And I guess he was a lieutenant, came on the plane all tanned, and he was like, welcome to Vietnam, boys. And, you know, okay, we're here. That's why I love the opening of Oliver Stone's Platoon, when he's got the Taylor character, the Charlie Sheen character, coming off the plane with his baseball cap on.
I don't remember. See, I need to watch that again.
Big,
I don't remember.
All new green jungle fatigues.
Yeah.
And then you see he as a director, he really fills the screen, and as the writer-director, he fills the frames with foreground, middle ground, background things happening at the same time. That is why it's something you can watch more than once, for sure. But yeah, we were like that. We were totally green. We got put in jungle fatigues in Fort Lewis, Washington. So we flew over that way, you know, and you don't have anything, there's nothing you can take with you that's really, you can take some pictures.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I had my uncle gave me a cassette tape recorder. And so that I could make tapes to send home, or play tapes. I got because it was the Christmas of '68 was a couple months before I went. I got a Rolling Stones, the Beatles' White Album. What else? Some of this Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland. I got all that stuff. But of course, they didn't last long in the jungle. They lasted a few months, and the climate just killed it. The tape recorder was gone, you know. So,
so okay, you land, then what? You stay there overnight, or they?
Yeah, you're in Cam Ranh Bay for that day, that night, and then I guess it was the next day or night is when they ship us off to where we're going to go in these big C-130s. So you're basically laying on your duffel bag with 75 other guys going this place, that place. And they sent me up to WWII. My friend Don went to Camp Eagle, and I'd never heard of WWII. And it was a big compound, a big base. There were Marine jet fighters that went out of there and a lot of helicopters. And it was part of the AmeriCal division. And
At this point, did you know what you were going to do over there? Had they signed you something?
I was supposed to go over there as what was it called? Electronics accountant or something. Stock control. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, it was like being back in school. It wasn't going well, So I get there, and the company I'm in is a helicopter company, and the first sergeant says, "Oh, you're that 76, whatever." He goes, "We don't need any more of you guys." So what are you going to do with me? He goes, "We'll find something. Don't worry." And then he says, "We need door gunners." I said, "Well, I have no experience." He goes, "OJT, on the job training?" I said, and flight pay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll try it. Now, but that's the other thing too. When I came out of the AIT, the Advanced Individual Training, I went from an E2 to an E4. And I don't know why they were doing that. I think because they were trying to, I don't know what they were trying to do. They're trying to keep people in the Army because, it's a little more money. And so anyway, so I tried out this door gunning thing, and it wasn't for me. But what happened was, what pulled me out of it was the guy who was the armor supply sergeant for the company, because that company came over the year before as a company. He was leaving, and so we were all replacements. And so I got I was put to work for him with a couple other guys, and he liked the way I worked, and I did a good job, whatever. And what happened was, he's leaving, and they needed someone higher up, like an E6. I'm an E4. They needed someone who's experienced, because this is a lot of responsibility.
And what was that title called again?
Armorer Supply Sergeant. So you were responsible for all the armaments, and you're also responsible for all the helicopters and all the weapons. It's a big job. And, and in this 1969, that was like $115 million worth of equipment. Then probably a couple billion now. I don't know. And so he goes to leave, and they don't have a replacement for him. And he tells the major, he says, "This guy should let him do it." He can
And
do
you're
it.
19.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I said, "Okay, I'll try it." And they put sergeant stripes on me. They said, it's temporary, but if you can do a job, you'll be permanent. So I did, and I ended up. That's what I did for the next 6 months, almost, something like that.
Did you feel like you were just faking it till you made it, or
not really? Because it wasn't that hard. I think it was more. It wasn't that hard. What was hard was the overall responsibility. It's like, if a helicopter got shot down, guys were trying to claim all kinds of stuff was on it, so they could write it off, so they could take something home, whatever, stuff like that. So no, I had a pretty good time doing that. It was dangerous sometimes, like, because I'd have to go down to this place called Duck Foe, and Duck Foe that's where this 11th Light Infantry Brigade was. That was the area where, unfortunately, the year before I was there was the My Lai massacre, and so that was so. But that every time I went down there, it just seemed like the mortars and the rockets were coming in like day and night. You didn't walk around there without a steel pot on. Whereas True Light was unpredictable. Sometimes, we get rockets, and a week or two would go by, and nothing would happen. And then in the morning, here they come. It was very strange. And then I got out of that, and I started doing this nighttime perimeter patrol work. And
at True Light?
Yeah.
What did that entail?
I would go to I would bring guys from our company and meet other guys to set up these listening posts by where the bunkers were on the perimeter of the compound. And so we would do that like at dusk, and we'd stay there through the night until the morning and then come back in.
Is that electronic stuff that there would be listening? Or is that just people? That's just people.
Yeah. I mean, we had the what do you call it? The Starlight Scope things you could put on. There was new at the time, but you could see at night.
Like a night vision.
Yeah, that's it. And
that was mounted on your gun?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or you just used it like handheld, either way.
And it was a mono.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was effective. I mean, it was really good to have. It was weird, because it's just like green. It's just a lot of green. And
how many guys would have been on WWII? How big was it?
Oh, it was big. It was like
thousands, guys.
Oh yeah, a few thousand.
So it was big.
Yeah, maybe 6, 7, 8,000. I don't know actually. There was it was about, because it ran along the coast. It was on the beach, so it ran probably, let's say, 6 miles, 7 miles, and up at the top was like a little port area where the Navy and the Air Force had a PX there. It was pretty primitive. I mean, like there was no glass. You didn't have glasses. There was no glass in any of the buildings. When first time I went to Da Nang, it was like I went to a city. It's like, wow, it's like nice here. I mean, they had their trouble spots, but it was as far as like how to live, and guys having our military guys having like apartments and
wow,
stuff like that, and kind of living well.
What helicopters were you over? Were they all kinds, the Hueys and everything?
Yeah. I mean, the company I was involved with the most was a Chinook company. And, because sometimes we would go up to, I don't know how they came about, but we would take these sort of joyrides up to Da Nang, and I'd drive my Jeep up onto the Chinook, and they'd bring the ramp up, and about 5 of us would just go up to Da Nang and go to the PX.
How long was that flight? Was it short?
No, it was like it wasn't. Well, yeah, it was about 40 minutes.
Did they ever shoot at the Chinooks doing that, or no? Was it pretty safe?
No. Those were easy rides. Yeah, the rides that were harder was like if I would go up to, we had an infantry unit up north of us called the 196th, and if we went up to this one LZ Baldy, you had to go through these mountains, between these mountains, and it was a graveyard of helicopters, and that was just the sight was scary, because it'd be like, what the, we're going to get there.
Okay, go back. I know you have an experience.
Yeah.
Was it the first night you were in WWII?
Oh yeah. That was,
tell me that story.
Yeah, that was remarkable because, we got there in the afternoon, and again, the smells were, a lot of, everything from animal odors and body odors and food odors and latrines and even the ocean, was right there. So, it was kind of nuts, but we went and had a meal, Army chow, and then
no good or good?
Barely. It was edible. I'll just say that.
Oh, that's sad.
It was not that many good meals over there. I could tell you a story later about a guy up in Chulai he'd been a chef or something. So he was doctoring the food at that company. So people were always trying to go over there because he would turn lemons into lemonade. I mean, he was brilliant.
Okay, well.
Anyway, so I go this night. We have the food, and then they said they're going to put on a World War II movie. So they put on this movie called The Devil's Brigade.
Is it outside, or are you in a tent?
Oh no, it's outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so they took these big chunks of plywood, painted them white, and then there's 200 guys sitting there drinking beer, drinking warm Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever we had, and watching beer. And now I share this in the play Memorial Day, which was, sitting down with a guy who, now he wanted to be there. and he had it.
The guy you're sitting next to.
Yeah, there were two of them. This one guy, he was from the South, it's like West Virginia, and he was like, showing me pictures of his girlfriend, right? She's all buxom and everything like that. Oh, that's cool. And so he says he's going to get revenge for his brother. His brother got wounded over there a year before, 2 years before, and he's going to get revenge. I said, oh, okay, good. And then the guy next to me on this side, I was getting convoluted. I was having a conversation with another guy about Philadelphia a cappella music. And that was like, and then this guy says to me, so he doesn't want me to sit down with him. He goes, so what do you know about Philly a cappella music? And we have this conversation. He says, quizzing me, who got the best stormy weather? And I said, the Zircons. And he was like, I mean, I was like this, middle-class white kid from the suburbs. Like, how do you know this shit, man? So I sit between these two guys. The black guy, Philly, was really cool. It's really, because we weren't really watching a movie. You're having this conversation while the movie's going on. Yeah, right. Drinking beer and smoking cigarettes and it's just,
And you're feeling, does it feel safe there at this point? You're not thinking it's dangerous.
I'm not thinking of anything. I don't know where I am. I mean, it's like, that's the plain truth. I didn't know where the hell I was. And sure enough, so yeah, get to know this guy, Philly, and this other guy, I can't remember his real name. Goldie, I call him Goldie in the story. Anyway, so the movie ends, and about 15 minutes after the movie, the rockets come in, and I'd never seen a rocket before, and it just came. It looked like a little car flying through the air, making these sparky sounds, and they're coming in every direction. Lights go out. I didn't know they turned the lights out. I didn't look for bunkers. I was flat. Like I just hit the sand where I was. And I didn't know where anybody was. I was just, and that's when I felt fear like I never felt before. I mean, I'd been scared before, but not like that. And a couple things clicked. One was, oh my God, they want to kill me. They want to kill us. That's what their objective is, to kill us. Doesn't matter how much training you have, like with this and the enemy, this and that. And it's like, no, when they actually try to kill you, it dawns on you that they're trying to kill you. So it's like, holy shit. So two things happened. I'm not sure if the sequence, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. The guy who wants to get revenge for his brother, the lights are back on, and he's inside this hooch, which is screened in, and he goes up to this older black sergeant came up to him, was very compassionate, and he was freaked out. The bravado was gone. Nothing about getting revenge for his brother. Now it's like he says, I made a mistake. I made a terrible mistake. He's on the verge of tears. I should not be here. I know that now. And the sergeant's like, it's going to be okay, son. It's going to be okay. No, I need to talk to an officer. I need to go. I'm not supposed to be here. And I turn around, and the black guy from Philly's over. He's laying in the sand, and his arm is out, and his leg is out. And I'm thinking, what happened to him? And these medics go over, and they're putting him on a stretcher, and I don't see any blood, so I think he's okay. And I went over and said, is he okay? And they just ignored me. And they took him down to these where they had these hooches where they were taking in wounded and guys that got hurt. And I walked in, I followed them in, and I was at the doorway, and I see him laying there, and he's not moving. And that's when this sergeant, he was a tough old guy, Boston guy, I think, sounded like it anyway. He said, what are you looking at? I said, well, I was in the movie with that guy. what's his name? I said, I don't know. What he said is call him Philly, so he goes, well, he's dead. Now get out of here. I said, what? He goes, he's dead. Now you get the fuck out of here right now. And I was like, whoa. And that's when I realized, then the whatever little epiphany was, wow, you can die here in one day. You can die here in 1 minute. It's over. And just those realizations, those two realizations in that one day, which was like, holy shit, I'm a target and they want to kill me. And the other was, I could die here. I didn't go there to die.
Yeah.
I went there to come back home. I mean, the other thing too that's interesting about thinking about this now is that was before I went over, I had a lot of fear.
You had a lot of fear.
Yeah, a lot of fear. And just in spite of that, I would still take risks of sorts. Some of them were just playful things, whatever. But I didn't. I was my rationale for like going to Vietnam was that I would come back and I would be less fearful. That's what I thought. And that was not the case at all. I mean, I think fear can be almost like a devil. It's like, you need fear not to walk out in traffic, et cetera. But then there's the fear that, can come your way or you can conjure that's going to be destructive in some way, and it's just even being able to recognize it. So yeah, I needed to be able to recognize the different fears, I feel what ended up happening was I came home and I didn't recognize the fears. I just thought I was angry or tired, I don't feel like doing that. No, I don't feel like doing that either. No, get the fuck away from me, and just like mood swings like that I didn't. And also I put it in the Guardian Angels that, oh my God, I got arrested 2 weeks after I'm back. I'm not 21. I'm trying to buy a 6-pack of beer. The guy throws my ID at me. I flip out. I wreck his place. And the Guardian Angel that I talk about in the play shows up. I don't know how he did that. I don't know how I found out I was in Vietnam to this day. And most of the people know me growing up and stuff. They don't see that part, they don't know that part of me. And I don't like that part of me. I never did.
And you're saying that was a new part of you from Vietnam.
Well, I think I had it a little bit as a kid, maybe a little bit. I went through a bully stage when I was like 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And
where you were the bully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really learned from that. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I ended up, the guy, the cop, yeah, he was just very direct with me. But he was very kind too. Because you're still in the military. Not good, And I was like, yeah, it's not good. Had a few months to do. And also, at the time, it's like I wasn't 21, so I wasn't old enough to vote. I wasn't old enough to drink, but I was old enough to go over there and do the,
and get killed, maybe.
Yeah, get killed or be on that end of X-rated behavior. And it just, I was really, anyway, I was really gun shy after that. Like, cause I lost control. I was so embarrassed. I didn't share it with my parents or my girlfriend or anybody like that. I just didn't, I was, kind of horrified with myself. And then I felt like, I'm not, I don't want to do that again. Now, I mean, some stuff happened, between then and college were just it was not good, where I was driving badly. I wrecked like 3 or 4 cars.
Wow.
Yeah, I got they didn't have DUIs then. They should have.
Yeah.
I mean, I got away with stuff then that you wouldn't get away with today. And, and then when I started college, my parents, because that scared my parents. They were like, what's our son? What's our son becoming? He's come home, he's decorated and soldier and all this stuff, and he's behaving like a madman. So I thought about, I saw the guys going to college, and I thought, well, yeah, but I already tried college. It might be different now. And there was I remember a guy I worked in we call it department store when I was a senior in high school in Trenton, New Jersey. And there was a guy there who was, he was actually going to Rider University at the time. And he had been in the Army. And there was something about that as a model, kind of a model / guardian angel, where I really admired him. He had done 3 years of the Army or whatever it was. I don't think he was a combat veteran, but then he was in school. And he was like a resident supervisor for one of the dorms, and he loved college. He was a business major, but then he'd come into work talking about this play he read by Shakespeare. And I was like, I'd like to be like that. I'd like to wonder if I could do that. So sure enough, when I got out of the Army 3 months early to go to this Bucks County Community College, because it was there was no other schools I could have gotten into. So that was, that's where it all started. And the reading teacher was, really, instrumental in helping me to become an achiever. So I could take the work ethic from the service, apply these things I'm learning in terms of reading, grammar, stuff like that, and then go after, an education, and my world opened up. And also I've shared this before in different conversations, but there was something about the structure of the Army that, as much as it's, may be severe at times, but there's something about finding freedom in the structure if you give yourself over to it. And I did. And I felt that's what was in store for me for college. I was going to give myself over to this and just do the best I could. And I surprised myself and my parents, because they were like, because I'd done, when I was in Fort Monmouth, I don't know where they came from. I had all these coats, right? These overcoats that I was selling. My parents thought I was stealing them, and, they didn't know what I was into. And, even when I went to school, my father said, I wonder if he just wants us to think that, I wonder if he just wants us to think he's going to school. I mean, those books, we'll see if those books are real. So, and they didn't. In fact, at the end of the first semester, when I went to get my grades, every part of my body said, you failed. Just
the first time back, when you were back.
Yeah. Everything.
Because that's what you were used to.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that I didn't get straight A's. I didn't get any A's. I think I got like a couple B's and C's. But I felt a sense of accomplishment. I was really proud of myself. And then it was going to get better the next semester. So, I mean, I loved the English teachers I had. And one of them was a guy who would become a really good friend and turned me on to classical music, which I just dove into.
Had reading at this point become easier for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure some of that's just maturity, I think.
Yeah. But some of it was like, when I took this guy's reading test, the professor, it was like 0 credit. He was like, everybody's going to take this test. There's like 10 of us in a summer school class. And he asked me to stay after. I actually had lunch with the guy about 8 years ago, as a commencement speaker at the college at that time. Anyway, he sits me down, and he had a little kindness in him because he knew I just came out of the Army. And he was the lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve. So there was a piece of compassion there. So, do you know what your reading level is? I said, well, it's bad. That's why I'm here. And he goes, it's 4th grade. You don't read books, do you? I said, no, I don't. No, I don't read books. He said, well, you're gonna read them here. and he pointed out some things that I did with my eyes that don't work for reading. He brought in different things for like how to read a text where you hold a question in mind, like why. Then your next question is when. And you can go through 100 pages like that and glean a lot of information. And so he was great. And then the other teacher was at that time was a grammar. It was like I didn't know what a gerund or a participle or an infinitive was, and none of that stuff. It's just you know. And I still have syntax problems as a writer. I still write. Sometimes I'll write sentences that they're not backward, but they, you know, the subject should be in the beginning and not the end, whatever. Anyway, so I ended up, no, I took like English. First semester was English, a humanities course. Math. I took a, what do you call it? Algebra. I tried to argue with my counselor. I said, algebra is not my thing. I flunked it in high school. Any way I can get out of it? He goes, no, you have to try. And I got another guardian angel. This guy, Dr. Kaplan, he was like little nebbish guy. He just was, the first day of class, I said, I'm going to fail this class. And he goes, oh, no. I said, really? I took it high school, summer school. They gave me a D to get me to go to move to the next grade. He said, come to my office after we do a class or before the next class. Can you do that? I said, yeah. And so I got an A.
Wow.
I got an A because I learned that I don't retain with mathematical stuff. I don't keep it unless it's reinforced. Otherwise I lose it. It just goes away. And sure enough, became kind of a friend too. It was more, I mean, I'd visit him in his office and we'd go over the homework and then we'd have nice conversations, interesting conversations. And then I took him for trigonometry and analytical geometry. I got a B.
Wow. Jeez.
Got a strong B. And then I was after that first year and those courses. And I thought, pre-med. Yeah, I think I could go down the pre-med road. And cause that was a fantasy in like sixth grade, you know, and it was like, I got shot down really fast because the learning stuff was not there. But anyway, I thought about it. And then I went to get him for calculus the beginning of my second year. And, his class was full. And so I went to him and I said, Dr. Kaplan, I said, I'm not taking math with anybody but you. He goes, I can't do anything. Get me next semester. So I went back to registration and the guy there said, you haven't taken any electives. You've taken all these requirements. Why haven't I taken an elective? So like what? He goes, well, there's this thing with music or this fencing thing, this acting 101. Acting 101. Huh. Yeah, there's a lot of girls. So it's probably going to be really easy, you know? And it's so interestingly enough, I take the acting class. That guy, I don't know. I mean, the last time I saw him was here in Utah, Salt Lake City. David Dean. He was my first acting teacher. And so a couple weeks into that class, he says, you should drop out. I said, you should drop out and take an incomplete or I'll fail you. And I thought, well, I like this. He goes, yeah, but you don't get up and work. Anyway, fast forward, he ended up getting an A in that class. I got my first play with the other teacher, Stephen. And that was it. My trajectory was set. I thought, I'm a theater major, mostly acting, and the other stuff would come later. And then I did that through, my sophomore year. And then I transferred to Rider University. And that's where the next 2 years was all about acting, directing, and all the stuff that went with that. And I got to do an internship at Princeton. Princeton had McCarter Theater, which was a very big theater at the time in the Regions. And I got to do a semester there as assistant to the director. And so now I look back at college and like I go, wow, that was like one of the most amazing experiences of my life. It changed my life. I mean, Vietnam changed it, and then college changed it again.
Well, it sounds like you really stepped into it.
I did. Yeah, I did.
You didn't let it go to waste.
No.
You were going to let it change you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, what's interesting, senior year at Ryder, there was some turmoil between the administration, the faculty, and the students. Not terrible.
Yeah.
But there was some power struggle about who's making decisions about what and all this kind of stuff. So they had this, it was the beginning of my last semester as a senior that I was asked to be on a committee. There were 7 of us, 2 deans, 2 faculty, and 2 or 3 students. And we sat down to decide on this list that was put in front of us of about 45 students who were on probation. And we're going to decide who stays and who goes. And I'm sitting there, and this guy, I'll never forget Dr. Iorio. He liked classical music too. And we used to have those conversations. Anyway, so he was running this thing. And so he said, we're going to decide who stays and who goes. So I think it was one of the other students. She said, should we start with GPAs? He said, yeah, that's a good idea. And then I thought, wait a minute. I was here 7 years ago, and that dean, at the end of that summer thing fiasco, said to me, you're just not college material, son. And so I piped up. I said, Dr. Iorio, I said, I was here 7 years ago, and I was told that I was not college material. And now I'm sitting here with you people, and we're supposed to decide who stays and who goes. He says, that's it. We stop. We have the resident supervisors talk to each one of these people, and then we reconvene in 2 weeks.
That's good.
So it's funny how some things can come full circle. And for me, that was, I love telling that story because, I mean, when the guy said to me, you're not college material, when I was just out of high school, he said, you're not college material. I said, yeah, I know. I said, yeah, I know. You don't have to convince me. I said, I just proved it to you, So,
okay, let's go back. Let's go back to Vietnam for a minute.
Yeah.
Tell me about the door gunner. How long did you do that in the helicopter?
Oh, a few weeks.
And what did that entail? What is that requirement? And I mean,
you sit on an M60 machine gun.
Out the half in and half out, or what?
It's on a post.
Okay.
On the side. The doors are off the helicopters.
And how often are they going out?
Oh, every day. I mean, I didn't fly every day, but I was in like an OJT thing for a situation for a couple of weeks, and then I was supposed to keep doing it, and that's when I started being called into this other gig, this armor supply sergeant thing.
Was it scary being in there in the doorway of the helicopter?
No. It was really until they shot at you. I mean, no. Otherwise, it was like 25 degrees cooler, because it's 111 on the ground and it's like 75 in the air. That's pretty nice. Yeah, that was.
And when they're shooting at you, do you guys skedaddle or you?
No,
down?
We shoot back.
Yeah,
yeah. So that was that was there was a couple times it was really, scary. We flew back. We were picking up what we were doing, picking up a radio, I think, and we were heading back to Chu Lai, and they wanted us to stop at this LZ small thing to pick up this radio, whatever it was. And so we were flying too low, and we got shot at, and we were shooting back into these trees and stuff like that. But then the helicopter lands in a rice paddy, and I didn't know that we just got shot down. I said to my crew chief, I said, "Did we just get shot down?" He goes, "Yeah. What do you think, man? What'd you think?" We had to get out of that. We got out of there, and then
you just left the helicopter.
We jumped. We had to.
Okay.
Well, plus they were still shooting at us.
Okay.
So we had to run, and it was about I guess about a football field away, the where the bunkers were for this LZ, and it was scary. Oh man! But I was like a track star. I was out in front of everybody, and so that was yeah, that was weird.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a wow. But
And the day-to-day on base when you were doing the equipment stuff, the
yeah,
armor, what was a day like? What was a normal day? Was it pretty boring generally?
not that much really. I mean, it's like there was always something to do, and I had three. I think I had three guys working for me, which was really they made it easy. I mean, I didn't have to do the grunt
Right.
stuff at all. And but there was yeah, I guess there was I don't know. We got up in the morning. There was a formation at 7, something like that, for the whole company, and then guys were going off. Sometimes guys were going off for like pre-flight and stuff like that. Our company was away from the flight line where the helicopters were, so that was like a 2-mile drive in these trucks. They put them in the guys in the trucks, and I stayed back on this like sort of bluff where the company area was, where we slept and stuff. And I haven't thought about this in a long time. Sometimes there were like these reports to do and stuff like that. And then there were like things, tangible things you had to go and get, and sometimes that's why I would go down to take something down to to Duck Pho, or come back from there, or go in these sort of helicopter rides to make sure certain things got to certain places, and back and forth like that. And it was, there were long days. I mean, we didn't finish until the evening. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Sundays was a little easier if they could make it happen, if they could let us slide on Sundays.
Yeah.
There wasn't, that much to do. I mean, so we'd keep somebody there in case somebody needed something. And then the weapons were out in this bunker, in these Connex containers that were the machine guns and the heavy stuff, the grenade launchers and stuff like that, grenades, were all in those places. And then, and then it was like, then I was burned out on it after about 6 months, 7 months. And that's when they brought in, a guy. I was a sergeant, but then they brought a guy who's a higher sergeant who had also done this before.
Yeah.
He'd been doing it for 5 years, so, because it's like, doesn't sound like a war story, but it's like all this kind of pressure from officers that wanted things.
Oh, for sure.
They wanted, the sunglasses were top quality, so you're always getting requests from, but they were nice to you too. It's like, hey, Sarge, you get me one of those aviation sunglasses. But yeah, it was.
And you had a pretty gnarly experience going to Duck Pho, right? Where it really you got shot up pretty bad. Or
No. What happened was
that story?
No, that was it. It was later in the tour. It was like I had maybe 7 or 8 weeks left, and I went out with these guys. It was supposed to be just a simple job of helping dig up these square trenches for fuel bladders, where they put in these 2,000-gallon fuel bladders. So the trench had to be, 3 feet deep and square, about 10 by 10 or 12, whatever it was. And so I kind of volunteered. I said, they said, we need just an NCO. You want to go? I said, yeah. Curious. I've not seen that much of the country. What the hell? Oh, it's quiet out there now too. So don't worry. Okay, I'll go. And it was a special forces camp. It was, I don't know, 50, 60 guys. And now they were sending, I mean, I don't know where we were. There were no roads around. It was just in the middle of nowhere. They were sending out guys every so often that were, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they were snipers or what they were doing, because we were on the Cambodian border. So they would head over there, obviously. But yeah, one night, I was supposed to leave. I was going to leave that day, and I said, "No, I'll stay over and I'll go back the next day because we were almost done this work." And the bunker I was in had one little belt of M60 machine gun ammo, and the bunker I was in had one little belt of M60 machine gun ammo, and it was. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention to it. It'd been quiet. Nothing. No, nobody was bothering us. And sure enough, this I don't know how many of them there were out there of the enemy, and they just opened up on us and started sending in mortars and small arms fire, and it happened so fast. And then we realized that we needed more ammo for the M60. We didn't, so, and the other bunker was way over there, not that far, but it seemed like at the time it's like it's not going to be easy to get to. And the lieutenant, the Green Beret lieutenant, was angry that the guys didn't have it, didn't have the ammo there. And I just volunteered. I mean, I didn't say I'm going to go do this. I just dove out of the bunker and I low crawled like a motherfucker. I mean, that was one of the talents I had in basic training. I didn't tell you that. I was one of the fastest low crawlers in the company. It was one guy, this little bastard from Baltimore. I could never beat him. But otherwise, I could move like lightning on the ground. And so I go and I crawl over there and like really fast, and I get 2 boxes of ammo that I'm low crawling back on my back with now. And
gunfire's going on?
Yeah.
Is this night or?
Oh, it's nighttime.
Yeah, okay.
It's nighttime. It was kind of late. It was at 11 or 12, I guess. And the thing, we get back, and then part of me is feeling like, wait a minute, there's a lot of them, and I don't. Are we going to make it? And so we're just shooting at where the flashes are and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 helicopters come in from way over behind us somewhere. And they go into this tree line where the enemy was. And they just blast the shit out of it, knock the hell out of them. And wherever they're, I mean, I thought that there had to be twice as many of them as us. And also this, now I don't know if this is true. This one lieutenant said he thought it was a setup, like that they wanted to see if they were going to come and then these choppers were going to be ready to move in. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea, but that's what happened. And we were really lucky. And, yeah, I was, and I still couldn't figure out, like, why did I do that? You know, was
it like on auto when that you just,
I don't know, Greg. I think part of me was like, well, at that time in my tour, I was writing home less. And this happens, I don't know, I can't speak for other vets. This happens where you it's not that you're forgetting home. It's just that home was here when you got there. Now home is over here. Now home is over there. Now it's over here. And you start to feel it less, and you feel where you are more. And I think I kind of felt like I had something. Well, as a kid growing up, I had a fear of nighttime. Little kid, fear of night. I was afraid of the dark. And there was something about kind of feeling that a little bit, when I was over there. And then feeling like it was not that I was mastering it, but that it wasn't the fear. I felt like I could dance with the fear. And so that's what I was doing, I think. The only thing was that what followed that was, when I got back, I think, my drinking really accelerated. And I started to, especially at nighttime, I wanted to drink. And it was that's part of who I was at the time.
At the end of that night, after the gunships came in, do you sleep? Or are you too jacked up? Are you wiped out? What is that?
No, it's no sleeping. Because I also had this guy with me too, this young guy, younger than me anyway, that was he just wanted to go along for the ride. He had never shot his weapon or anything like that, and so he was pretty freaked out, but in like almost like a giddy way, like, whoa, that was really something.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they really shoot at you out here, don't they? I was like, yep. So anyway, I got, I was really, I was jacked up is one way to put it. And I also think there's more fear that dropped in, because then I was supposed to go back to the nighttime work. Now I'm getting gun shy, and I'm counting the days to leaving. It's like I got 40, 45 days and I'm out of here, and I was like, so the nighttime stuff in True Life was like, I got scared in a different way. I mean, yeah, you need the fear to navigate and everything, but there was a different level of fear dropping in that was really caught me in a way that made me pay attention. And then I think I had 3 or 4 weeks left, and that's when they wouldn't send me out there to do that anymore. And I stayed in the company area around Chulai and ended up just drinking beer and swimming in the ocean. That was it. Although it was then? Yeah, it was like I had 2 months. I think it was January of 70. We were taking these radios off this truck, and there was a new guy up on the truck. I mean, he was like counting days. He just got there. And so there was what do you call it? A rocket. A couple rockets flew in. They weren't close by. And so, after a while, when it's time to hit the dirt. The guy drops the radio on the back of my neck, right? Knocks me out. So I ended up, there's a field hospital at Chulai. It's like, it was like just a few hundred yards away. And I went there and came to, and then I ended up, they took an x-ray. They said, yeah, you're going to be fine. And gave me some pain pills. That neck injury would come back to haunt me later. And like the 90s, I guess, something like that. And I still have to be careful with it, but it's, I'll tell you what, well, wait a minute, I'm jumping around. Anyway, that in the hospital in Da Nang, I went there for skin problems. I had terrible skin problems.
Is that from the weather, or what was it?
I don't know. Oh no, you know what it was from? It was the stuff that we were putting out on the
Agent Orange stuff?
Yeah, well, it's
like that, a defoliant or something?
It was an herbicide, yeah. And we went to do that maybe once a week.
You would go out and do that?
We would all do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do it that much.
Just like a little sprayer you'd go out there?
Yeah, with a can and Agent Orange or Agent Blue or whatever they called it. And I think I did it once myself manually. Usually I was driving the Jeep and I'd get the guys to do it, and I'd just wait in the Jeep. And I did it this one time myself. Maybe I did it twice. And something started on my ankles, and I didn't know what it was. It was like an itch. And then a couple of days later, it's up on my calf. Then it's up on my knees. And then a few days later, it's up on my legs. Then it's around my groin. Then it's up here. And after about 3 weeks, it was all over. And it was a combination of ringworm, and they didn't know what this other stuff was. They just didn't know.
Wow.
So the doctor, I have to say, I regret my behavior at that time. I couldn't sleep. So I was really angry. And I beat up one of my guys, I guess.
One of your guys or the doctor?
No, my guys. No.
Oh, wow.
Doctor, I'd have gone to jail. No, he was doing these pills and getting high. And I just, yeah, I did. I'm not proud of that, but also we had a situation one night out, on the perimeter, and I came in, some sappers and commando guys tried to get in. We caught them. I'm pretty sure we killed one of them, two of them. They dragged them off. There were four of them, I think. And,
your guys dragged them off, or the VC dragged them
no,
off?
the VC dragged them.
Yeah.
NVA.
Yeah. NVA.
So what happened was, came in that morning, and there was a Vietnamese, we called them cowboys. They were like the teenage sort of thugs that hung around, tried to steal stuff, try to sell you shit.
Mm.
And he looked at me derisively. Or I looked at him derisively. That's more like it. And then he spit in my direction.
Hmm.
And I went completely crazy. And he was half my size, and I just beat the shit out of him. I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop till I couldn't pick up my arms. So,
Wow.
and the guys I was with were mostly, these are guys that were kept out of the field.
Yeah.
For various reasons. And they were like, yeah, good, Sarge, tune him up, right? And I'm up here watching it, like watching myself. I'm having an out-of-body experience. And it's just, I felt horrible about it later. So anyway, the skin stuff takes me to the hospital in Da Nang. And that was more of a real hospital than, wasn't just a field hospital.
Yeah.
The one at Chulai was a field hospital.
How long were you there?
About a week. It was like right before Thanksgiving. And and that's where I got to make a phone call home.
Oh, what was that like?
Remarkable. I was there about 3 days, I think. 2 or 3 days. And walking the wards because I had nothing to do. And I wasn't a burn victim or something like that. So, I mean, I was totally mobile. But I walked by this room and I looked in and I saw this table. Nothing on it but a phone and a chair. And the phone's off the hook. And I looked at it and I thought, that's odd. What's that? Nurse came by. She goes, you want to call home? I said, what? She goes, you want to just go and pick up the phone? You can call home. What do I do? She goes, just pick up the phone. There's an operator in San Francisco that will connect you to wherever you want to call. And so I got on the phone. I said, he said, what number would you like to call? I said, call my girlfriend, in Levittown, Pennsylvania. And so she answers the phone like, whoa, what's this? I said, it's okay. I'm in the hospital, but I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. I'll be out of here in a week. But, would you contact my parents in the morning? And she goes, yeah. And that was something.
Did that make you more homesick or not?
I think it did. Yeah. It was that was hard. So that was November. So December, January, February. I had like another 3 months and a couple weeks to go.
You were getting down the end though.
Yeah. And I didn't think. I don't know. Well, there were a couple. I know we talked about it before, but there was a couple places where I didn't cry, right? Twice over there. Once was walking down a hallway where there's doctors and nurses would hang out and have coffee. And I walked by, and they heard the alarm go off for incoming wounded, and they snapped and just charged out of there to get down there. And I never saw such a shift, although I had seen it before. But that was an amazing shift. And then the other time was when I left my company. That day I left Vietnam, and it was coincidental with they were taking apart the company to move it down by the flight line. So everything was coming apart around me, and I'm standing in this duffel bag leaving that day. And then this whole reality is coming apart like a set. And
Hold on, you're saying you cried then?
yeah, I was walking to the Jeep that was going to take me out of
Wow.
there, and my body started to shake, and I didn't know what it was. And the couple of the guys, my good friends, came up to see me off, and I couldn't stop the tears. And they're laughing. They're going, "Ah, man, you're gonna have a great time when you get home." And we're hugging it out and everything. Yeah, yeah, okay. And then, and that was it. I left, and I was down in Cam Ranh Bay. And the next day, we flew out of there, and I got home 3 days early, which my girlfriend picked me up and in Philly, and then I took her car later. It was the middle of the night, and I got back to my home, my parents' home, 5 a.m, and I didn't have keys. Rang the doorbell, woke up my father. Yeah, that was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wow. Yeah.
Your takeaway from all that, your experience over there.
Wow, that's such a good question. Well, I would start with the camaraderie. Like, I was never close to people like the guys like that before then. Another takeaway is time. Now, and I'm 76. I'd like things to slow down. And at that time, I was like, when am I going to get out of here? When's this going to end? And all that stuff. I had no idea that I was going to be kind of keeping a lot of these experiences for a time where it would be involved with storytelling, with like plays and movies and stuff like that, scripts. And I guess too that, having gone back now, I've been back 3 times.
To Vietnam.
Yeah. And that absolutely remarkable. The first time I went back, I thought for sure, I just thought they're going to arrest me. I'm going to get off the plane and they're going to just say, put your hands behind your back or something. I don't know. And it was anything but that. I was shocked at how kind and generous the people were with us, the people who had been there. Granted, we were friendly. We were friends with a lot of the South Vietnamese. Depending on who you talk to other guys who have had different experiences. Where I was, we dealt with the North Vietnamese more, and they hated us. But also the people where I was hated us too. But
how did that manifest itself when you were there?
You mean people hating you?
Yeah.
Oh, it was, I don't know. Well, they weren't friendly. They didn't want you there. Like,
and you would make an effort and get nothing back.
Well, no, a little bit, but for the most part, it was like, I'm in a hostile place.
Yeah.
The civilians don't want us here. They don't like us. They want us to leave, or die. But yeah, there was something about going back those times, and then also having a piece of theater about them, about the veterans, what veterans are dealing with here with PTSD, suicide stuff. Then I went there. I went there as a veteran the first 2 times, and then the last time I was a theater artist, and so never expected that in a million years. And there's no way I could have done any of that if I hadn't had other guardian angels, spiritual, and material helpers that really made a difference. I went into one pagoda. It was the second trip, And the woman, Ming Tao, she was a cultural minister for the whole country. And so she and this guy, Dr. Tick, were putting things together for the theater where I was going to do the play finally. But with the second trip was all about setting that up. And so I went to we went to this neighborhood where he was a prominent Vietnamese artist. He was probably in his late 30s, right? So he was born after the war. But there's things where the government tells you what to do and you do them. So the government told this guy, said, you're going to host these people, these Americans, for a dinner tonight or tomorrow, whatever it was. So we go to this neighborhood of Hanoi. And this guy Song, he was our translator and guide. And also he was a friend too. He was there every trip I made. And so there was some people playing music in this little square, because the guy wasn't ready for having us up there for dinner yet. And I saw that there was a pagoda down the street, and I said, I think I'm going to go down there and just hang out. He's like, okay. So I went down there by myself, and it's no big deal. So I go into this pagoda, and I'm standing in this room, not much. It's probably like the same size as this room that we're sitting in now. And I look closely on the walls, and there's these little tiny pieces of like paper with a name on them and a little tiny picture above it. And there's a couple thousand of them. And the song, the translator, guide, friend, he came in, he followed me in, and I said, this is some kind of memorial in front of the pagoda. And he goes, these are all the men and women who got killed in this neighborhood. And that's when I started to grasp how many of them got killed. We lost 58,000 plus the suicides after. They lost millions. And it really hit me. And then we went in, because one of the things I did like about, I'm not a Buddhist, but I do respect the sincerity of that religion, that spiritual practice. And we went in and lit some joss sticks and did some prayers. And then we went back and we joined the rest of the group, our group, and went upstairs to this guy. He had his 4-story townhouse. Anyway, we went upstairs to his house, and a really beautiful place. A lot of great wood. And he was a very successful artist. He's selling paintings and sculptures for $30,000, $40,000 a piece. So he's doing very well in Vietnam. But he doesn't want us there. And so the cultural minister and our translator are trying to make nice to this guy to kind of warm him up or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's chilly. He's just like not, And so somebody says to him, what's your influence with your art? And he says through the translator, heavy metal and classical music. Okay. So I look over and I see he's got this particular recording. He's got one of those high-end turntables, right? With the records and all that stuff that you get now, not from back then.
Yeah.
So I look over and I see the Beethoven Ninth Symphony, which I was a huge fan of. I still am. I see that, and it's by this guy, Georg Schulte, in the Chicago Symphony. Now, back when I was in college and I was spending a lot of time with that music, my friend Lou, who was a musicologist as well, we sat one night and we listened to different pieces of the Ninth Symphony by different conductors. And he really gave me an education. And that particular symphony has one of the best third movements. So I said this through the translator. I said, please tell Mr. So-and-so that symphony has one of the best third movements that's been recorded. He comes to the party. He's there. I have to say, really, I don't know, I felt like my gosh, Dr. Tick said you did a lot for public relations between our two countries that night, which I wasn't planning to, but it was, but I have to say, going back 3 times when you asked me before about takeaway from having been there, was I didn't realize how much it was going to inform the rest of my life. Yes, it made me angry and depressed and sad and stuff like that, and it still does sometimes. But I had no idea it was gonna be part of how of the vectors that were going to take me through all these years later. Here I am talking about it with you today. And there's I got I guess lucky with people where like this guy Dr. Tick, I worked with him for off and on for a few years. He would have these retreats and different gatherings, and then he took Vietnam veterans back every year to Vietnam. He heard about the Play Memorial Day that I was doing, and he had this book out at the time called War and the Soul. It was a remarkable book. It still is, but he's written some ones to follow up with that, and and he believed in spiritual transformations. He believed in Native American rituals and Greek traditions, ancient Greek stuff. And I just learned a lot. I learned a lot about the warrior soldier culture that's been around for thousands of years. And also the importance of restoration as much as preparation if it comes to war. And so I got very involved in that. So it really helped me to it helped me, I think, as an artist, too, because I started taking this back to what I do in terms of writing, acting, directing. So
9/11.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where it really kicked the door open for me. Because at that time, I really felt like Vietnam was in the closet, was tucked away. And before that, I'd done a play. I did a play in New York and London called Tracers, which was about the war. And so, a lot of that was not my experience. I didn't write it, but I was the actor for it. And it was very well, but it also took a lot out of me. And so that was that. And then 9/11, we lived in Pennsylvania, but I was in Manhattan at our apartment during the week. So I stayed in town, or went into town because I had a callback for a beer commercial. And I walked, I had gone to a meeting with friends that morning, and that was like 8:30, the meeting breaks. I walk out with my friend's sister, Bridget. She was much older then. She's probably not around now. And the first plane goes right over our heads and hits the North Tower. And I remember, I think I grabbed my shirt. I was so angry. I was like, I don't know how to say this. I was so angry at God for making me watch that. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And Sister Bridget was like, she was freaked out. She was like, I got to go back to the convent. I got to go back to the convent. You want me to walk you? No. And so then I walked back to our apartment, and cell phones were still not that much in play like they are now. I mean, they were
there, but it wasn't
it was before the smartphones too. And so my wife gets through on the landline. She tried to get me through on the cell phone. She gets me on the landline, and she's screaming into the phone, "Get out of there! Get out of there! It's a terrorist attack." I said, I think it was an accident. She says it was not an accident, because I didn't have a TV in the place in New York. So she says it was a terrorist attack. And I went back out. I walked out to 7th Avenue because we were in Greenwich Village, West Village at the time. And that's when I saw the first tower drop down. The second had hit. I didn't see that. The second one get hit. first one I saw get hit, and then I saw the first one drop, and it was weird. It was almost like a B movie. It was this, the sound. It would be like it was a bad sound engineer creating this collapsing building, because it was echoey and weird. It's so strange. And but that's when I call them emotional tumors started to come to the surface. And I went to the VA. My friend Mike took me to the VA next day or the next day. No, that's right. The next day I was back in Pennsylvania. And that's when my wife and daughter, that's when I started realizing something was off, because they came in from shopping. And my daughter, she was 7 at the time. She walks in and she goes, "Dad, you're sitting in the dark." And I kind of went, oh, I was oblivious. And I said, "Oh, let's turn the light on, honey." And I covered it well. But then the next day I went back in New York, and I went to the VA, and I had to start getting help. And that was the beginning of that journey. And it was also going to affect what I was going to be doing with my arts, with my artwork, with my theater work, writing. And now I'm grateful to it. I'm grateful that, not that the event happened, that my response to it took a positive journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to jump back. You said that you had that story about the chef. What's that story?
Oh, in Vietnam?
Yeah.
There was this one company. It was over the guy. Army food's Army food, right?
Well,
This
you
guy,
tell me.
Well, yeah, right. It is nothing. There's nothing interesting about it, except for when they did Thanksgiving. They brought in all the stuff that people love to have. But this company, the guy,
it was on base there where you were?
Yeah, it was in July.
Okay.
And he had no, I can't say it. Anyway, the guy, he was like, he even got like tablecloths for the mess hall, and they weren't fancy, but they were tablecloths. And, it's like, and then he had these spices and herbs and stuff like that, and he made apple pie that you would die for. I don't know. I don't know what the recipes were that he was jimmying with and the Army stuff, but we'd go over there and say, "Look, they're cracking down. You have to show them that you're part of this company or whatever." So we did it. We'd go over like twice a week for a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. But it was a real treat, because it was like, this is a guy that he knew his food. He knew what he was doing.
And he took some pride in it. Obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No.
When you were out, did you do sea rations, or did you do
sometimes? Yeah.
Did you hate those, or were those terrible?
Yeah, they're just boring. It's not interesting. Pound cake and peaches was the only thing that was like everybody wanted. It's the only thing they got right.
What was the least favorite one?
Ham and something.
Lima?
Something. Yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah, I didn't like sea rats. They were just. I mean, I didn't have to eat them that much. I'm grateful, for sure.
Are you in contact with many guys over there that you were with, or
not that much? No. We tried. Some of us tried to stay close for a few years, and then guys die too. Guys are gone now. A couple of good friends in Alabama, they're gone, and guys out here. There's a good guy. He's in. He was in Modesto, California. We did talk about 3 or 4 years ago, and we hadn't spoken in 50 years. So I was really lucky to find him. And then he was having some health issues, and I said, "Look, I was going up at that time. I was going up to near San Francisco for visits to see friends. I said, when I come up again, I'll look you up and we'll hang out." He goes, "Oh, that'd be great, man. I'll look forward to it." I didn't get to do that. He died, I think, a year after that. So, yeah. So no, there's not, in my case anyway. I mean, because my experience was so scattered because I was a replacement,
Yeah.
and, I don't know I think that's true for most of us that were replacements where you just, you know, you're not, I mean, I have friends that went over with units and they're there together
Right.
for the year, which I think that's better.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Last thing.
Yeah.
Your father.
Yeah.
When you figured out that he didn't write you.
Oh yeah. Oh, we just adjust here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was psychoanalysis. This is in like 78, 79, 80. And it must have been, yeah, it was like closer to, it was a couple of years in actually. And I'm having a casual conversation with the shrink, Larry. And he, we didn't have anything heavy to talk about that day. And he said to me, "Who'd you write to when you were over there?" And I said, "My parents and my girlfriend. Sometimes a couple other friends, once or twice. That was it." "Oh, that's nice." He said, "Did your parents write together?" I said, "No, my mom wrote for both of them." "Oh, well, when did your dad write to you?" I said, "Oh, my father wasn't a letter writer. He didn't write, you know." "Well, he must have written to you sometime. Didn't he write to you on your birthday or when you were in the hospital?" And I just blew up and I said, "He never fucking wrote." He never wrote, and I'm doing that transference thing where I think it's the analyst. It's really my father. I'm furious with my father
And that like lit a fuse.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't know. I had no idea that there was that anger sitting under that. That's what's kind of valuable about introspective thinking of any kind. Introspective work, whether it's spiritual, 12 steps, shrinks, priests, ministers, doesn't matter. Yeah, I was furious with my father. And it's interesting because this came up with in the Brandon interview as well. But 6 months later, I'm still I'm still angry with my father.
This is after this event.
Yeah,
Okay.
after the event with the shrink. So we're down at the Jersey Shore, and I had a moment with my father at the dinner table afterwards, and I finally was able to say, I wanted to say it to him for a while. "Dad, you never wrote to me. Really hurt me." And something shifted in that moment. It's that if we're lucky, we get to see our parents as human beings. And that's how I got to see him. I got to see him as this regular guy, not my dad, And he just took it in, and then because I think I wanted to follow it with like something hard. I was going to say something tough. You really pissed me off that, and I didn't go there. And he was in a contrite stage, I guess. And then he even looked visually a little smaller as a human being. And he said, there was never a day I wasn't thinking about you. Never. I said, okay. It's interesting because my father, I'll just finish with this, is that when I got into this play, my parents, they would think, when I started going to New York and making money as a bartender, they were all about it. And I started this restaurant in New Jersey that was very successful with my friend Bill from high school. And that went really, really well. Anyway, so I'm trying to make it as an actor. I'm out of the bar business. I got fired my last job. And I'm painting apartments. I'm doing crap work. And I didn't have a car then anymore. So I'd take the train down to Trenton from New York to see them once every couple of weeks or something. And he'd give me some money, and he'd say, why don't you go back to the bars? They like you. You make money. I said, yeah, I know, Papa. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. You really you got to think about it again. And he's always trying to help me move away from my decision to do this, because it really changed things. It really had a relationship that came apart, and of course the money ran out. And but fast forward, I started working in summer of '81 in Central Park. Now I'm getting plays, little snippets of TV stuff here and there. And then in '84, which is 3 years later, I'm in a hit play called Tracers. And so this guy, the Trenton Times was the big paper there in the area, calls my dad up and says, "Hey, Joe, your son's in this hit show in New York." "Oh, yeah, we're going to go up and see it sometime. I think I'd like to write an article about him. Do you mind? Can you give me his number?" I said, "Yeah, sure." My dad gives him my number. He calls me in New York. We have this phone interview, right? Takes a headshot, and a week later, and it says, Yardley actor in smash hit, right? And it was a whole page of this thing. And my dad was a liquor salesman at this time. He bought 20 copies. And he took them around to his customers and just said, "Here's my son." Came home, and I heard this from my mom. He got home with whatever copy he had. He sat on the couch and cried. I never saw my dad cry, but I did hear about it. I heard about that. And then he apparently he was weeping when I called from Australia. My parents were at the Jersey Shore. They came back we planned it. They were going to, it was like 2 p.m. And
when you were on R&R.
Yeah, when I was on R, like 9 a.m. It was 9 at night. Yep. They came up from the Jersey Shore to get a phone call that they had to pay $130 for, something ridiculous amount. And my sister had gone upstairs to get on the extension phone, and he was in tears. And I've heard about it. I never experienced it with him myself. But anyway, thank you.
Extraordinary.
Thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Yeah, thank you very much.